What if I told you that Las Vegas just burned $2.3 billion on a glowing ball that was supposed to save the entire city? The Sphere, that massive LED dome lighting up the Strip, wasn't just another casino attraction. It was Vegas's desperate Hail Mary to prove it could survive beyond slot machines and buffets. But behind those 1.2 million pixels lies a financial catastrophe so devastating that executives are jumping ship, investors are running for the exits, and the very people who built it now call it the most expensive mistake in entertainment history. And by the end of this countdown, you'll see why the Sphere's failure might have ended something much bigger than just one venue. Number 10. The grand vision that became an obsession. Picture this. James Dolan, CEO of Madison Square Garden Entertainment, stands before Vegas executives in 2018 with a promise that would change everything. Not just another venue, but the future itself. A sphere that would make the Bellagio fountains look like a backyard sprinkler. MSG sold it as Vegas's answer to Disney World, a technological marvel that would pull the Strip out of its post-pandemic slump and into a new golden age. The pitch was intoxicating. 16,000 seats, wrapped in the world's largest LED screen. Sound so precise, you could hear a whisper from 500 feet away. Haptic seats that would make audiences feel like they were inside the performance. This wasn't just construction, it was supposed to be resurrection. But somewhere between the PowerPoints and the pile drivers, that vision mutated into something else entirely. What started as innovation became obsession. Every setback triggered another expensive solution. Every delay meant more borrowed money. By 2021, before a single artist stepped on stage, the Sphere had already consumed $2.3 billion, not in ticket sales or merchandise, but in pure, unfiltered construction costs. The redemption arc Vegas desperately needed had transformed into a financial sinkhole that would test whether any entertainment venue could ever justify that price tag. And the spending wasn't even close to finished. Number 9. The budget that wouldn't stop growing. When MSG first pitched the Sphere to investors in 2018, the number seemed aggressive but manageable. $1.2 billion. Expensive? Sure, but this was Vegas, where the Wynn cost $2.7 billion and Resorts World hit $4.3 billion. What could go wrong? Everything, apparently. First came the pandemic, shutting down construction for months while interest accumulated. Then supply chain chaos sent material costs through the roof. Steel that cost $500 a ton in 2019 suddenly hit $1,800. Those revolutionary LED panels, each shipment arrived with a bigger invoice than the last. But the real killer was the technology itself. The Sphere wasn't using existing systems, it was inventing them, custom. Everything, proprietary software, audio equipment that had never been manufactured at this scale. Every innovation meant another delay, another contractor, another 9-figure check. By late 2022, internal documents showed the real number, $2.3 billion and climbing. Company meetings turned into damage control sessions. One former executive revealed that leadership started referring to profitability as the moon landing because both seemed equally distant and expensive to achieve. The construction site became a monument to mission creep. What started as a venue had morphed into a science experiment funded by corporate credit cards. And unlike those glittering casinos that eventually print money, nobody knew if the Sphere would ever turn a profit. Number 8. The tech that no one could afford to maintain 10,000 LED panels, 160,000 speakers, a screen stretching 580,000 square feet. The numbers sound impressive until you realize what they actually mean. The world's most expensive electric bill. Former crew members paint a picture of operational insanity. The exterior display alone requires 28 megawatts of power when fully lit. That's enough electricity to power 21,000 homes. One technician who worked the opening claimed the venue burns through $150,000 in power costs per week just keeping the outside screen running. And that's before anyone steps inside. The interior is even worse. The haptic seats need constant calibration. The 164,000 speaker audio system requires a team of engineers just to maintain basic functionality. The climate control system, fighting against the heat generated by 1.2 million LEDs, runs 24/7. Even when the Sphere sits empty, it's hemorrhaging money. But here's the real kicker. The technology is so specialized that only a handful of companies worldwide can service it. When something breaks, and things break constantly in a structure this complex, repair teams fly in from Japan or Germany. One LED panel failure can cost $50,000 to fix. Multiply that by 10,000 panels, and you understand why CFOs wake up in cold sweats. The Sphere wasn't just expensive to build, it's expensive to exist. MSG executives initially projected $50 million in annual operating costs. The reality? Industry sources suggest it's closer to $450 million. That means the Sphere needs to generate $1.2 million every single day just to keep the lights on. Not to turn a profit, not to pay down debt, just to exist. When your break-even point requires selling out every show at premium prices, you're not running a venue, you're running a prayer. Yet even if they could afford to keep it running, they still needed people to actually show up. Number 7. The location that killed the foot traffic. Look at a strip map and try to find the Sphere. It's there, technically, sitting behind the Venetian, like a glowing afterthought. But being visible and being accessible are two different things entirely. Unlike the Bellagio, Caesars, or MGM Grand that flow seamlessly into each other, the Sphere requires deliberate effort to reach. Tourists describe it as feeling disconnected, isolated from the natural strip energy. You can't stumble into it after drinks at the Cosmopolitan. You have to want to go there. The pedestrian nightmare makes it worse. The walking paths from the main strip are poorly marked and poorly lit. On busy nights, crowds heading to the Sphere create bottlenecks that leave everyone frustrated. On slow nights, those same paths feel abandoned, even dangerous. Rideshare drivers openly complain about the venue. The GPS sends them in circles. The designated drop-off zones are hidden behind construction barriers and temporary signs. Uber forums are filled with drivers saying they reject Sphere pickups because the hassle isn't worth the fare. Even the monorail, Vegas's attempt at public transit, doesn't help. The nearest stop leaves visitors with a confusing 10-minute walk through casino floors and parking garages. The Sphere might be the most advanced entertainment venue on Earth, but if people can't find the front door, none of that matters. And when tourists finally found their way inside, they discovered another problem. Number 6. The ticket prices that scared off. Vegas locals, have always been the backbone of new venues. They're the ones who keep shows alive between tourist seasons, who spread word of mouth, who make a place feel lived in rather than artificial. The Sphere needed them desperately. Instead, it priced them out completely. General admission starts at $150 for nosebleed seats. Want a decent view? That's $400. Premium experiences push past $1,500. For a family of 4, a night at the Sphere costs more than a mortgage payment, but the insult doesn't stop at the door. Concessions operate on airport pricing logic. $19 beers, $35 cocktails, $15 hot dogs. One local posted a receipt showing $97 for 2 drinks and popcorn. The image went viral, becoming a symbol of everything wrong with New Vegas. The locals' response was swift and brutal, complete abandonment. Social media filled with Las Vegans declaring they'd rather drive to California than pay Sphere prices. "I'll wait until someone uploads the whole thing to YouTube" became the running joke in neighborhood Facebook groups. Here's what makes this fatal. Locals aren't just customers, they're ambassadors. When relatives visit, locals recommend shows. When co-workers plan trips, locals provide insider tips. By alienating the home crowd, the Sphere cut off its own grassroots marketing. The venue built for everyone became a playground for no one but the ultra-wealthy. Number 5. The U2 gamble that didn't pay off. September 29, 2023, opening night. U2 takes the stage for a residency that would either validate the entire Sphere project or expose it as a $2.3 billion vanity project. For 90 minutes, Bono and The Edge delivered a show that redefined what live entertainment could be. Critics called it transcendent. Audiences wept at the visual spectacle, and it still wasn't enough. The math was brutal from day one. U2's 40-show residency reportedly cost $10 million per show to produce. Between the custom visuals, the exclusive content creation, and the band's massive guarantee, the Sphere needed to sell out every night at premium prices just to break even. They didn't. While opening weekend saw full houses, Weekday shows played to 70% capacity. Those empty seats weren't just missing revenue, they were bleeding money. Each unsold ticket represented fixed costs that couldn't be recovered. Power, staff, maintenance, artist guarantees. Behind the scenes, the financial reality was causing panic. Investors who expected U2 to launch a new era of Sphere residencies watched the numbers and realized the truth. If the biggest band in the world couldn't make this venue profitable, who could? The residency that was meant to prove the Sphere's viability instead proved the opposite. Even perfect reviews and standing ovations couldn't overcome the fundamental economics. The math simply didn't work. The stars had departed. Now came the silence. Number 4. The empty calendar. After U2's final bow, the Sphere faced its most terrifying enemy: silence. Not the engineered acoustic silence of its revolutionary sound system, but the financial silence of an empty venue burning money by the minute. The booking crisis revealed a fatal flaw nobody saw coming. Traditional touring acts couldn't just roll into the Sphere like any other venue. Every show required custom content creation, specialized programming, and weeks of technical preparation. Artists needed to redesign their entire production from scratch. The cost? Millions. Before selling a single ticket. Fish gave it a shot in April 2024. Dead & Company tried their hand. But the gaps between bookings stretched longer and longer. May had 12 dark nights. June had 18. The venue designed for nightly spectacle sat empty more often than full. Industry insiders revealed the ugly truth. Most artists simply couldn't afford to play there. The venue required a minimum 20-show commitment to justify production costs. Only legacy acts with devoted fan bases could risk that investment. Smaller shows were economically impossible, so the Sphere sat there, a $2.3 billion structure going dark for weeks at a time. The exterior still displayed its ads, still burned through power, still required full maintenance crews, but inside, nothing. Just 16,000 empty seats and the sound of money evaporating into the desert air. Number 3. The corporate fallout. By November 2023, MSG Entertainment couldn't hide the bleeding anymore. In a move that screamed damage control, they spun off the Sphere into its own company, Sphere Entertainment, Wall. Street saw right through it. This wasn't expansion, it was amputation. The executive exodus began immediately. CFO Gautam Ranji departed to pursue other opportunities. Senior VPs vanished from LinkedIn. The Sphere's original creative team dissolved overnight. Each departure came with the same corporate speak, but everyone knew the truth. They were abandoning a sinking ship. Then came the layoffs. First, the technical crews who'd spent years learning proprietary systems. Then marketing teams, production staff, even the engineers who'd built the thing. Former employees described chaotic final weeks, with entire departments discovering their positions had been eliminated via email. Investors turned brutal. Quarterly calls became interrogations. Stock prices tumbled 40% in 6 months. One major shareholder publicly called the Sphere the most beautiful mistake Vegas ever made, a quote that spread through financial media like wildfire. Internal documents leaked to the press revealed the depth of the crisis. The Sphere wasn't just unprofitable, it was questioning the entire MSG Entertainment model. Board meetings devolved into finger-pointing sessions. The visionary project that was supposed to launch a global empire of spheres had become a cautionary tale whispered in Manhattan boardrooms. While executives fled Manhattan boardrooms, back in Vegas, the real revolt was just beginning. Number 2. The locals' backlash. The honeymoon ended fast. What started as hometown pride in Vegas's newest attraction curdled into resentment, then anger, then organized opposition. Residents living miles from the Strip reported the dome's glow infiltrating their bedrooms at 2 a.m. The Sphere's 1.2 million LEDs don't just display ads, they assault the skyline with brightness, visible from airplane windows. Neighborhood groups filed formal complaints. Petitions circulated demanding dimmer switches or time restrictions. The environmental outcry hit harder. In a city already straining water resources and power grids, the Sphere became a symbol of misplaced priorities. Local activists calculated its weekly power consumption could supply 1,000 homes for a month. During summer brownout warnings, the Sphere kept blazing, a giant middle finger to conservation efforts. Social media turned toxic. The hashtag #JatchenDimTheDome trended locally. Instagram feeds once filled with proud sphere selfies now featured memes mocking its excess. The same structure that was supposed to represent Vegas's future became shorthand for everything wrong with the city's priorities. The most damaging criticism came from an unexpected source: casino workers. Union representatives pointed out that while companies pleaded poverty during contract negotiations, they somehow found $2.3 billion for a giant LED ball. That comparison resonated. The Sphere wasn't just wasteful, it was insulting to the very people who keep Vegas running. Number 1. The legacy. No one wanted the Sphere was supposed to be Vegas's proof of evolution, evidence that the city could transcend dice and cards to become something greater. Instead, it stands as a $2.3 billion monument to what happens when ambition divorces itself from reality. Walk the Strip today, and you'll see it glowing in the distance, beautiful and empty, like a trophy for a game nobody won. The technology remains breathtaking. The engineering still astounds. But beneath those 1.2 million pixels lies a fundamental miscalculation about what entertainment means in 2025. Vegas didn't need to prove it could build the future. It needed to remember what made it magical: accessibility, excess you could afford, and the promise that anyone could hit it big. The Sphere broke all 3 rules. It created exclusive experiences in a democratic city, charged luxury prices in a discount paradise, and guaranteed that the only sure winner would be the house that built it. The real tragedy isn't the money lost or careers destroyed. It's that the Sphere's failure might prevent the next genuine innovation. When boards hear revolutionary venue now, they'll remember the Sphere. When cities consider bold investments, they'll point to Vegas's glowing mistake. The Sphere stands there still, running through its light shows for tourists who photograph it but don't go inside. A beacon, not of the future, but of the moment Vegas forgot what it was supposed to be. Vegas was built on calculated risks. But the Sphere wasn't calculated. It was delusion dressed up as vision. Today, as tourists snap photos of its glowing facade from their hotel windows, most don't know they're looking at the most expensive failed experiment in entertainment history. The Sphere still lights up every night, a $2 billion reminder that in Vegas, sometimes the biggest gamble is believing your own hype.